So today we're going to dive into Sparkle Job Club. It's a social enterprise that's taking on one of Nepal's biggest, most persistent challenges, youth unemployment. Let's see how they're doing it. It all starts with the number that'll really make you stop and think. 2 times. In Nepal, the unemployment rate for young people is nearly double the national average. That one statistic alone tells you there's a huge systemic problem here.
But, a number like that, it's easy to forget what's really behind it. We're talking about over 1 million individual lives, each with their own hopes and dreams. So who are these young people? And what are the hurdles they're really up against every single day?
To really get it, you've got to look past the statistic and see the human cost of this crisis. This isn't just about economic reports. It's about the real-world discouragement and the massive amount of lost potential.
So what does this actually look like on the ground? Well, you have over 1 million young people out there actively trying to find work, but they're just hitting a brick wall. They don't have the mentors or the networks to get a foot in the door. And get this, even for the 90% who do find some kind of work, it's usually informal, totally insecure. And that cycle of constant rejection, it's just crushing.
Okay, so to really understand what's going on, let's put a face to the numbers. We're going to look at 4 very different stories that all point to the same shared challenge.
All right, get ready for this next number. Over 500,000. That's roughly how many migrant workers come back to Nepal every single year. They're returning with incredible skills and global experience. So what happens when they get home?
And this is where things get really frustrating. It's a total paradox. These workers have valuable, hands-on skills in things like construction or hospitality, and yet less than half of them can find a job back home. So why is that? Well, they're completely disconnected from the local job scene. They don't know who's hiring, and there's almost no support system to help bridge that gap.
Okay, let's move on to our second group. And honestly, this next statistic is just staggering. Nearly 67% of students who start grade 1 in Nepal will drop out before they ever even make it to grade 12.
And you can see why, right? A lot of the time, it comes down to poverty. Their families need them to start earning money, or the school curriculum just doesn't feel like it connects to the real world of work. So they leave, feeling lost, without confidence or any real direction. What they need isn't more theory. They need practical skills and a clear alternative path to a good career.
Now, for our third group, the barriers they face are completely different, but just as challenging. Look at this chart. The literacy rate for persons with disabilities in Nepal is barely 20%. Compare that to almost 66% for everyone else. That massive gap in education creates an equally massive gap in employment. And it's not just about education. They're up against constant discrimination, all these misconceptions about what they can and can't do. Most workplaces just aren't set up to be inclusive. Now, the government does have a 5% job quota in public service, but in the private sector, support is practically non-existent, which means this huge pool of talent just gets completely ignored. All right, and that brings us to our fourth and final group. Over 60% of marginalized youth in Nepal have received zero, and I mean zero, vocational or entrepreneurial training. They're effectively invisible to the system. We're talking about young people from rural areas, from low-income families, who are basically living off the grid when it comes to opportunities. A shocking 75% of them don't even know that support programs exist. They have no idea what skills are in demand, and they're just trapped in this cycle of growing inequality. So, that's a lot, right? It feels like this really complex, overwhelming problem. But what if the solution is actually surprisingly simple, but also incredibly powerful? It's this thing called a job club. And the idea is actually super straightforward. You bring a group of job seekers together in the same room on a regular basis. They help each other. They share contacts. They offer encouragement. And they create this collective energy that's just impossible to find when you're job hunting all alone.
So you might be asking, why does this simple idea work so well? Well, think about it. First, it tackles the motivation problem head on. Job hunting can be lonely, but here you've got instant emotional support. Second, you instantly build a new network. Third, you're learning practical skills, like how to nail an interview. You're also sharing real job leads. And finally, there's accountability. The group helps you stay focused and on track. It just works.
Okay, so that's the general idea of a job club. But now, let's look at how Sparkle took that simple concept and turned it into this incredible, comprehensive model specifically designed for the challenges in Nepal.
What Sparkle did was build this really clear 5-step journey. It starts with self-discovery, figuring out what you're actually good at and what you want to do. Then it moves into building essential skills, like how to write a great CV. After that, they connect you directly to the job market.
The fourth step is all about mentorship and learning from your peers. And the final module? It even opens up pathways to starting your own business or becoming a freelancer. It's the whole package.
But wait, how does this all stay afloat financially? Well, this is the really smart part. It's a social enterprise model. See, most of the money comes from things like corporate training and recruitment services. They're charging companies that need to find good talent. That income then directly subsidizes the programs, making them totally free for the young people who need them the most. It's a brilliant self-funding cycle.
And look, Sparkle isn't just about good intentions. They are dead serious about measuring their impact. They have these crystal clear, ambitious targets. They're aiming for a job placement rate of over 60%, a training completion rate of 85%, and making sure 70% of people are still in their jobs 6 months later. This is what real accountability looks like.
And this whole thing isn't just some vague idea, it's a concrete plan. They've mapped out a 2-year roadmap. They start with a small pilot, then they review what works and what doesn't. After that, it's all about scaling up through smart partnerships, with the big goal of eventually replicating this model all across the country.
So this all brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, an invitation to Sparkle. And let's talk about why this is so critical, especially right now. At the end of the day, their whole message boils down to this really powerful, direct invitation. It's for any young person in Nepal who feels lost or scared or just doesn't know where to begin. And the promise is simple and clear. Free membership, real jobs, real support. It's a message of tangible hope.
And that right there, that's the big vision. It's not just about helping one person find one job. It's about building an entire ecosystem where every single young person in Nepal has the chance to find meaningful work, build a real career, and truly sparkle. Just think about that for a second. What would it look like if an entire generation was finally given that chance?